Welcome to another episode of Jazz TV Show, and today I've got an amazing guest. I'll let him introduce himself and the company that we've been working with from last couple of months, and we're absolutely enjoying. It's called Before You Buy, formerly known as Before You Bid. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Jazz. Yeah, I'm John McConkey. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Before You Buy. I still occasionally call it Before You Bid. Got to catch myself, but yeah, Before You Buy.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about BYB and where it all started.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, bit of a cool story that a lot of agents would, this would resonate with them. Around 10 years ago, one of our
Right.
co-founders, Reese Rogers, he was in accountancy and working on insolvency on this one, property with an agent in Sydney.
Okay.
And this one day, this agent, great guy by the name of Peter, was quite frustrated and a bit
Yeah.
flustered, and Reece said, mate, what's up? And he said, well, listen, I've got this cracking listing.
Yeah, okay.
I've got so many buyers on it, and I'm just having to go to the property for the 10th time to let another building and pest inspector come through. And Reece said, well, why are you getting multiple reports for the one property? Why isn't there just one report and that's shared amongst everybody?
Yeah.
And that's how we
Wow.
started.
It's all about the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's all about an idea and then someone who executes it. It's about taking actions.
Yeah, definitely. But, there's been a lot of frustration and toil to get to where we are today.
Yeah.
We thought it would be very simple. We thought we could just create a website where if you're a buyer, you could come, you could put your address in that you wanted a report for, download it, and it would just happen. But, it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I've heard the great news. Do you want to share it? What happened with the integration with domain?
Yeah, this has been a long time in the works. We have now integrated with realestate.com.au.
Yeah, wow.
REA, which realestate.com.au is typically very protective.
Yeah.
Of their listings and
Correct.
The integration with third-party suppliers.
True.
So there's been a lot of conversations with them over the last few years, and finally we are now appearing on every listing. So
Absolutely.
buyers that search Jazz Your Listings on realestate.com.au, they can access the BYB report straight away.
Yeah. And I think what I found amazing and fascinating was the ease and the practicality of the process. And buyers can download the report. As an agent, we could find how many buyers interested in the property before auction
Definitely.
as well. It certainly helps us gauge the level of interest week or 2 or 3 weeks prior to the auction as well. And the vendors getting access to a report, and then the buyers would have more confidence that everything's all ready to go. Majority of the time what we find is, and I know you talk about Sydney, and I think this is again something for the Victorians to learn and understand, which was not the case before. Prior to an auction, if someone says, well, I don't know if I'm going to get the property, and I don't want to spend $500 or $600 on the building inspection.
Yep.
And they still turn up at the auction sometimes, and they won't bid because they did not want to do a building inspection done.
And that's a lost opportunity for the agent and for
the vendor. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they would be there pretty much hoping that if it passes in, that they would put a clause of building inspection. And now, majority of the listings that go online would have a report beforehand. You have a better opportunity.
Yeah.
As well.
No, absolutely. Look, there's a lot to talk about there. Particularly, for a real estate transaction today, what we bring is transparency for everybody. We provide control for the agent right from the start, so that they don't lose control of a negotiation if a buyer gets their own report. But I'll give you a quick story. An agent that uses us actually here in Victoria.
Right.
On the Monday following an auction on the Saturday, he rang us up and he was quite excited because he said, look, I've always understood the value of BYB, but now I truly understand the value. And what happened was on the Saturday, the auction was scheduled for about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, he had a call from a buyer, and the buyer said, look, we'll call him Ray. Ray, I've just missed out on a property around the road from the one that you're selling, but I haven't been to your property. We love the area, we're ready to buy. I just don't have the confidence to bid because we just haven't done our due diligence. And anyway, Ray, the agent, said, look, I can have a copy of the building and pest inspection
Yeah.
report to you within a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Give me your email address
Yeah,
and I'll
wow.
give you the link to download the report. So anyway, the buyer downloaded the report through our site, and then they turned up to bid at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, wow.
The great part of this story is that they became like the fourth bidder,
Jeez.
right? The bidding got to about, let's just say, 890.
Yeah.
And then that bidder that came in late started bidding at 890, right? Pushed the bidding up to about 940.
Jeez.
And then eventually the original bidder that made the original bid of 890 then came in at 940 and then got the property. Now, why that's so important is because if that bidder hadn't have come in that day and had
Yes.
access to that due diligence, that property would have sold for 890
Correct.
instead of 940.
That is so critical. And
You know?
as I always say, each bidder is worth probably 10,000,
Absolutely.
20,000,
Yeah.
40, 50, or 100 grand
Yeah.
as well. You never know. That's why it's always critical to have your due diligence done beforehand as a vendor and make sure that you have all the ducks in order.
Oh, without a doubt, Jazz. You know, what we are certainly trying to implore to agents, particularly here in Victoria, but right around the country. You know, New South Wales, it's a bit more established.
Yeah.
You know, agents up in New South Wales will get a report before the campaign starts
Yeah.
every time.
Gotcha.
Right? They're just used to that. It's part of their marketing. When the photographer goes out to do the photos, the floor planner goes out to do the floor plan, the building inspector goes out to do the building and pest
Yeah.
report, and they get it done up
There
front,
you go.
right? But what that means is that before the campaign starts, and you know, you were asking about benefits for the vendor and the agent.
Yeah, please.
As an agent and a vendor, you can understand what the issues are, or the
Yeah.
problems that may be, you know, within the house, and they can be a couple of $100 or quite a few
Correct.
$1,000s,
Exactly.
right? But at least you know that. And what it means for the agent is you can have a good conversation with the vendor to say, look, we've got two options here. We can either fix the issues and then just, you know, get the report amended, or we can go to market and
Yeah.
just be very transparent with the buyers and say to them, look, you know, download the report, but we can tell you, and we've had a few quotes done,
True.
that it's going to cost X amount.
Yeah.
Now, what that does is it does a few things, right? It allows the agent who is selling the home, which is a product, if you're a salesperson,
Yeah.
you're selling a product, it allows them to know exactly what's going on with that product that they're
Exactly.
selling, right? For the vendor, it means that if a buyer comes through the very first Saturday and they're very keen, they've just missed out on 5 other properties over the last 2 months,
Right.
they can make an offer and transact that day
True.
because the due diligence is there. So
Exactly.
for a couple of $100, the vendor paying up front as part of the marketing campaign, they could potentially make thousands more because that buyer is willing to pay a
Ready
premium.
to go. Yeah, there you
For
go.
the buyers, what it means is that, you know, they can access that report straight away.
Straight
There is
away.
nothing holding them back. There are no barriers or obstacles to transacting that property.
That is exactly right. And majority of the building inspectors you would find on Google, and they're part of your platform, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a really key point, Jazz.
Yeah.
The thing about the inspectors, they're on our panel. We don't employ them, right?
Of course.
We're not a building and pest
Yeah.
company, right? We are a marketplace for inspectors.
Yes.
But we will match inspectors to properties. But what it means is that, you know, if you're a buyer, typically the inspectors that are on our panel are the same ones that they will find doing
Yeah,
their own research.
exactly.
We're just making it a lot easier. And, you know, getting back to realestate.com.au and domain.com.au and also property.com.au,
Yeah.
you know, the marketplace of inspectors can be found on those portals as well.
There you go. That's even better.
Absolutely.
And then there's a lot more options available for the purchasers as well. They
Absolutely.
can do the research on the platform itself.
That's right.
And with regards to when you were talking about getting it done prior and then not getting into an unknown, I'll give you an example. I heard a story about someone recently, and we've just taken over that listing, right?
Right.
And they got under offer.
Yep.
The purchaser went back and said, well, the property needs about, say, 20 minor things fixed. Nothing major.
Yep.
And that would cost the vendor about 1,000 or 2,000 to fix everything
Yeah, right.
prior.
Yeah.
Now that the purchasers know about it and the conveyancers have put in harsh conditions and it has to be done by this person and qualified person, and then the vendors will get their person to come and check and pay for it
Yeah.
for another check. And that would cost the vendor nearly $5,500 to $6,000.
That's right, yeah.
and the vendors rejected the request and the buyers pulled out. There was a lot of back and forth because it was not a major structural,
Yeah.
but still both the parties parted ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just for a building inspection and minor issues.
That's right.
If the vendor had done this before, I asked the vendor the same question. I said, if you had done this building inspection beforehand, you would have saved yourself.
That's right. You know, it's interesting. Victoria for us as a business
Yeah.
is our fastest growing market,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why. Right. So we've been around Victoria for quite a few years now, but agents have always just thought, yeah, look, I like what you do, but I don't necessarily need
Yeah.
to do it. In the last 18 months to 2 years, they've just had deals falling over because of
Because
the
of the,
building.
yeah, exactly.
And what that means is the negative impact. They have to remarket the property.
Exactly.
Which is the worst thing.
True
for
that.
you, because for the agent, you have to go back to the vendor and
Yeah.
say, hey, we need to put it on
Yeah.
realestate.com again and domain.
Exactly.
And, we need to find fresh buyers.
True.
Yeah.
For us as
Costs money.
agents, it's like getting to the finish line
Yep.
and then starting the race again.
Which is frustrating. Pay a couple of $100 up front.
Exactly.
And then it just solves all of those issues.
Just get to know what's exactly there.
Yeah.
And also, it's a peace of mind as well.
Definitely.
When you put the property up, you know there's no issues. Even if a buyer puts a building inspection request, let's say they don't download, they say, no, I'll
Yeah.
do it. You know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with the property and you've addressed everything, or perhaps there's nothing wrong. I had vendors who panic
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
They're calling me 9 p.m. at night. Hey, the building inspection's tomorrow. What do I do? I said,
Yeah.
just wait and watch what happens.
Yeah.
We're not qualified.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to wait for it. That anxiety that builds up in the vendor until that clears up the conditions of the contract,
Yeah.
there's always a problem with the vendor.
No, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. And look, can I just say, look, every property has defects or issues, right?
Of course.
Even brand new builds do.
Correct.
Right? So sometimes we get agents that say, look, I don't want to know what's wrong with the property because, I
Right.
don't want to have to disclose that. But, you get ahead of it. I'll give you a quick story again here in Melbourne. There was an agent who had, done the appraisal for the property, won the listing, and was indicating to the vendor, look, I think your property's worth about $1 million.
Yeah,
right?
well, okay.
Anyway, got the building and pest report done before the campaign started, and it showed a whole lot of issues.
Yeah, right.
They got some quotes, and it showed that there were about $150,000 worth of issues. Right.
Yeah, well.
Now that really frustrated the agent.
Yeah.
They were angry with us because we had revealed, or the report through BYB
Yeah.
had revealed these issues. The vendor was frustrated because that $1 million that they had in their
Yeah.
mind all of a sudden was now $850.
Yeah.
But they went ahead, they decided not to fix the issues,
Okay.
right? But it enabled the agent to be transparent about what
Exactly.
was actually wrong. Now, what that meant was, because the buyers were aware
Yeah.
of it, they could then calculate that into the offer that they would
Correct.
make or what they were willing to bid at the auction.
Correct.
Right? They weren't scared away.
Exactly.
Right? Now, if there's $150,000 worth of issues, buyers would walk in and they'll just go, okay, there's something wrong with
Correct.
this property and I'll have to get a report.
Exactly.
Now, what happened with that campaign was there were about 4 or 5 buyers that were like, you know what, we've done our calculations.
Yeah.
We're happy to spend the $150. We're going to hold on to this property for
Correct.
at least 5 to 10 years
Yeah.
anyway. So they actually just all competed and they got over $1 million
Yeah, wow.
for it.
There you
right?
go.
But what that comes down to is the transparency to give the buyers confidence
Correct.
to transact.
Exactly.
And that's what we provide.
Exactly. And I think you said the agent was not happy, but something that, if I'm that agent, I'll think from a perspective of, glad I'm aware now.
Yeah.
What if, again, as we were discussing before, you get close to the finish line and then you have to start again,
Yeah.
you're back to square one.
You're back to square one. You've
Yeah.
lost control of the negotiation.
Exactly.
You can't get it back.
And that's when your vendor may potentially be more frustrated with yourself. Because if you knew about this thing, why didn't you tell them before?
Well, exactly. And the other thing is, it's not the agent's fault that there are
Yeah.
defects or issues with the proproperty.
Correct.
Right? It's not even the homeowner's fault.
Correct.
It's
It's
just the
there, it's
nature of
there.
the property.
It's there.
But to your point, you don't want to get to,
Yeah.
right near the finishing line and then just go, oh my God, like, there are things that we did
Yeah,
not know about. We could have
exactly.
known right at the start.
Tell us a little bit more about how the process works if a vendor is watching this and if they want to start a campaign, before they
Yep.
start a campaign, what's the process like?
It's very simple, right? So most agents that use BYB, they will just have the BYB report as part of the marketing campaign. So, when the vendor is signing off on, the portals and the photography and everything, they're signing off on the BYB report as well. Once they do that, the agent will then just go onto our back end on the BYB site.
Yeah.
They'll place an order. It takes less than a minute to do
Exactly,
so.
yeah.
Then what we'll do straight away is we'll provide a link letter
Okay.
to the agent, and it will have a QR code. It will indicate who the inspector is,
Right.
and how much the buyers will pay to download the report, and if they're the successful buyer, how much they will pay to transfer it into their name.
Perfect.
Now that's all there is to it. Once the inspector does the inspection, the agent and the vendor will then receive the report,
Gotcha.
and that's when you can start making decisions
Right.
as to what do we do. Do we go ahead and do the repairs, or do we just come up with a price that we think
Yes.
based on how much it would cost to repair, how much we should launch
Gotcha.
the listing
Yeah,
at,
right.
indicatively.
And the purchasers would obviously know through agents
Yep,
about there's a report available.
absolutely.
I've also seen a lot of the buyers are getting a lot of awareness as well.
Yeah.
I had a property in Werribee where I had 4 downloads on the same day we got it done,
Yep.
and we didn't tell anyone. We didn't even have a chance to tell anyone. There were 4 downloads.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
and what that's telling you is who is ready to buy. Right?
Exactly.
That's the whole thing about BYB.
Correct.
We are basically telling you who are the serious buyers,
Yeah.
who are the potential sellers, and if when they download the report, they tell us they're an investor, we're telling you,
Yeah.
okay, well, these are potentially people that can go onto your rent roll.
Yeah.
So we can grow your rent roll as
Exactly.
well. Right. So that download data is
Absolutely
absolutely
critical.
essential. Yeah.
That property there went for an auction beforehand, got
Yep.
passed in, and we had very less chances of that property selling. We vendors and us, we didn't have a hope that this will go at auction. We had the hope that it'll pass in.
Yep.
But the moment we had these downloads come in, the energy and excitement was completely at a different level.
Yeah.
Called the vendor, they were excited, and there was still 2 weeks away,
Yeah.
the auction, and it went 45 grand above
Yeah.
the reserve.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Do you know the great thing, Jazz, that we have agents say to us is that you have those buyers where, you have no idea
Yeah.
like what they're going to do. They
Exactly.
keep their cards close to their chest. But then when they get that email from BYB
Yes.
saying, John McConkey has just downloaded
Yeah.
a report
Yeah.
for your property, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even think that he was, in the
True.
running. Tell you what some really great agents do as well when they
Yeah.
have auction properties is in the week leading up, they will send a link to the report to everybody that has inspected.
Right.
So just say on the Monday or the Tuesday.
Right.
And they'll say, look, the auction is on Saturday. If you're really interested, you can download the report here
There you go.
and be prepared. And what that does is they tend to get, 3 or 4 more
Exactly.
downloads. And
Correct.
then all of a sudden they know exactly
True.
who is going to compete on the day, and they can pass that on to the vendor. So
And you know what I have seen is, majority of the times, you think the buyer's not interested,
yeah,
but you don't know what is going on in that consumer's life.
that's right.
They might be thinking of another property after your inspection.
Yep.
Maybe they're not interested now. Who knows, next day the other property they were interested in, they didn't get it.
Yeah, that's right.
They missed out on that.
Yeah.
And then you just didn't follow up,
Yep.
thinking that they won't be interested. It goes to show as an agent that you can't stop following up, but that's another story. Though it's all about making sure that you provide value to your buyers.
Definitely.
And exactly the same thing happened with the 4th bidder that we had at auction in Werribee.
Yep.
Person I never met. We only spoke once on the phone. He asked for Section 32 at the start of the campaign. This is 2.5 weeks away. This guy downloads a report, does nothing, and just texts me about 2 hours before the auction. I knew he's downloaded.
Yep.
He asked me for an auction link to bid remotely because
Yep.
we had it through our real-time agent.
Yep.
He joined the auction.
There you go.
and he never saw the house
Yeah.
at all. Yes, he only bid twice, but he helped us increasing by twenty thousand
That's
dollars.
all you need, right? They don't
Exactly.
have to be the successful
Yeah.
buyer, but they can drive up,
The price.
the price. Yeah,
Exactly. So that was
yeah.
phenomenal. So with regards to how the buyers could actually then go, it's website or is it an app?
So look, they can through the QR code,
Yeah.
right? So what some agents will do is because they get that QR code as soon as they place the order,
Gotcha.
they put it on the signboards. They
There you
put it
go.
in the brochures. They have it neatly displayed at the open home.
Yeah, there you go.
They can download it off realestate.com.au and domain.com.au and property.com.au
Right.
and other areas like that. It's really, how the agent
Correct.
exposes
Yeah.
that QR code that makes it important. But Jazz, I always like to give the example of agent A and agent B,
Yeah.
right? So agent A, buyer comes into the open home and says to the agent, what do I need to know? Are there any issues? And the agent says, look, I don't know,
Yeah.
but if you go and get a building and pest report, that'll tell you. So come back to me
True.
in 5 or 6 days' time when you've got that. That buyer has gone.
That's right.
Agent B, the buyer comes in and says, look, what do I need to know about the property? Agent B says, look, you can download a copy of the report straight
Exactly.
away, but we can tell you that there is this.
Yeah.
We've had some quotes. We've got 4 quotes. It's coming in around $5,000 to $10,000 to do the repairs.
Yeah.
And that buyer is just like, oh my God, this agent is just so
Exactly.
informative.
Exactly.
And we can tell you that 30% of buyers, when they download their first report,
Yeah.
they've still got something to sell.
Correct.
Right? So this is your audition to show
Yes.
that you are an agent that knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
So who are you going to choose? Agent A or Agent B? Agent B every time.
Of course.
That's who you want selling
And
your
that
home.
buyer, highly likely in the future, would choose that agent if they're still around
Definitely.
to sell their property.
Yeah, definitely.
We had it so many times where the vendors, were when they were purchasers, called us and said, we like the way you treated us at the open home.
Yeah.
It's the little things. And I was watching this video. Funny we talk about this. Last night I was watching the video, and it was our great friend Adrian Boy from
Very
from
good.
New South
Very
Wales.
legendary agent.
And yeah, I was watching his video, follow him a lot, and we normally chit chat a lot on the phone as well. And we were actually having this discussion about being transparent.
Yeah.
And he's always training that, and
Yeah.
he's become a great trainer as well now. Last night on TikTok, one of the videos he was watching is like, you're competing with Amazon right now.
Yeah.
You're not competing with your fellow competitors in the market.
Interesting.
People are buying stuff at Amazon, the price is there, when it's going to ship. Imagine if Amazon, people ask Amazon when I'm going to get my order.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. You just be like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy it because,
Exactly.
if I'm not going to get it
Exactly.
in 5 weeks, then I won't do it.
Price is disclosed,
Yeah.
and then you have the building inspection. Let's say, for example, you're giving your purchasers. Nowadays, consumers like to deal with someone, not just real estate agents, a service provider or a product seller who makes the buying journey a lot more easier.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
like
Yeah.
simplicity in life now.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to add a lot more ease to the vendors as well and the purchasers.
Definitely. And Jazz, when an agent has that report, because of our shared cost model, we split the cost between the vendors and the buyers,
Yeah.
which means that if you're a buyer and you come to a property, you don't have to pay $600-700 for an inspector. You might pay $50, $60, $70 or whatever it is to download that. If you don't buy the property, that's all you've invested.
That's amazing.
That
is amazing.
So if you've been in the market and you've inspected 5 or 6 properties and you keep missing out until eventually you find the one,
Correct.
you haven't paid $600 or $700 each time. And I can
Yeah.
tell you, those buyers, after you pay that amount of money once or twice, $600 or $700, you don't do it again.
Exactly.
And you walk away because
Exactly.
it's costing you too much money to
True
buy
that.
a property.
I've also got an example on that as
Please.
well.
I love it.
Where a purchaser missed out on 3 properties, spent $695 each, and then after those 3 properties, he stopped doing the inspection. He ended up buying a dud.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He said, well, every time the properties are fine, it's just that I'm missing out by
Yeah.
because of the offer or the
Yeah.
bids at the auction. And then he ended up buying a property where they had structural issues.
Yeah.
So that's
that-
where this comes handy.
Jazz, and that's not great for our industry.
Correct.
Because that's a really bad experience for that
Of
buyer.
course.
And they'll tell all their friends.
Yeah.
And, our industry is too good.
Exactly.
We've got too many good people.
Exactly.
That, yeah.
And if BYB was used, this purchaser would have been able to do it on all the
Easily.
properties that he's bidding at.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that makes life so easy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming
Jazz,
over, John.
I've really enjoyed the
appreciate it.
conversation.
Absolutely, indeed. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would get a lot of value out of it, and vendors and buyers or consumers or community alike. If you have any questions, please reach out to us or BYB directly. Website's there. It's an amazing website, by
Yeah.
the way.
Beforeyoubuy.com.au.
Yeah, it's a beautiful website. I love the colors and the branding. So it's amazing.
And I love your colours and branding as well.
Thank you
Jazz.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
Done. There you go.
Wow.
That was good.
Yeah, that was so good. Sorry to watch in on that.